Blowing in from the Windy City, it's time for JW Fusion with your hosts, James and Wendy B.
Welcome to this week's broadcast of JW Fusion. I am your co-host, J.H. Garber Barnes, and I'm here with the amazing and
Wendy
brilliant Wendy who?
Wendy B.
Wendy, the one and only.
Yes.
Who is still, right, so much. Your record
Still
is
got
100,
my record going.
100.
All right.
Stay that way.
That's
don't
the goal.
you change. Don't you dare. How Billy Jones said, don't go changing.
That's right. I like that.
Listen, this week we got an amazing show. We have our sister.
She is back.
Soon to be Dr. Sharon
girl,
Sykes.
you better. I'm sorry. Say that again. One more time.
The soon to be Dr. Sharon Sykes of Heal the Culture, making changes, making waves in this jacked up society.
Yeah.
She's making a difference.
Yeah.
Welcome to this week's show.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for inviting me back.
Girl,
well, we've been on our head for you to get back. We had the hog tie.
She's busy. She's in demand.
We had to put a net on her.
Right, girl,
Come on, get in
now.
here.
What about now?
So listen, this week we wanted to talk about forgiveness because last time we kind of hit on it a little bit, but I know that's a strong point of your platform and your ministry is forgiveness, which is significant because if you can't forgive, you cannot move forward. Is that right?
That is totally right.
You know,
I write about it in my second release, as you know.
I'm sorry. Your what? What you say?
Second release,
which
Unsisterly
is
Love. Unsisterly Love.
Unsisterly Love.
Incubated Jealousy.
Incubate. That means
that's a powerful title.
It is.
Wow. Jealousy.
That means that thing's gone through a gestation period and has grown.
Yeah.
Talk about that, Sharon. Talk about that.
Oh, wow. In the book, we deal with all aspects of it.
Okay.
We deal with the family component of it, which is a chapter, family jealousy and how it's a different kind of jealousy. Family jealousy is totally different. Then we deal with the girlfriend jealousy. Okay. We deal with jealousy on the job. We deal with jealousy in the church. We deal with the many different facets of jealousy, the faces that it wears, and how it affects the body, how it affects your mind, your physical existence, your heart, the rhythm of your body, how it moves, how it affects chemicals in your body, how you can have chemical alterations behind battling jealousy. We cover all gamuts.
I wanted to touch upon that family because I think we sugarcoat it by saying sibling rivalry, and that's an okay thing. Talk about the family jealousy.
That's
family
huge.
secrets, a different kind of jealousy. Is really deep because I think most of us have encountered it. Family secrets.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We deal with that whole component. And why? Why is it that you were taught to not play with your cousins that live across town? What is it about them? And you really don't know what it is.
Yeah,
you just heard a family member say, "Don't you go over there? Don't you play with them? Don't you talk?" Well, Granny, you know, aren't those my cousins or auntie? Aren't we related? Yeah, you're related. It's so much that we don't talk about in our family history.
Yeah.
So many things that have happened we don't discuss. And we end up battling all these different personalities on the inside based on something that has nothing to do with us.
Do you know what?
Wow.
I was talking about this. We were filming Shattered Ceilings.
I'm sorry, what were we doing?
My new television show that'll be out in 2020. It's called Shattered Ceilings.
Yes.
Good deal.
I was talking about how a lot of scientists have proven that 50% of the memories we have didn't even happen the way we remember them.
Wow.
Things are not the way you recall them. Over time, they become embellished. You know, the worse they were, the worse we make them. And the better they were, the better we make them. It's kind of like, it's the same thing when you line a group of people up to tell a story. By the time it gets from person 1 to person 10, it's a completely different story. It's the same thing. And so, Sharon, would it be safe to say that this separation in families is at the root of it is unforgiveness of something that happened some time ago.
I think that's a major part of it, but I also think we are dealing with, one man probably having 3-4 sets of kids.
Okay.
We're dealing with that part.
Okay.
We're dealing with maybe he's gotten with a mate that doesn't want to acknowledge his sin.
Okay.
And we bury it.
Okay.
And we pretend like these people don't exist, and we go through life not knowing they exist. But there's something about a blood tie.
Oh, yeah.
That is spiritual.
It is. It is.
Blood ties are spiritual, and you can't ignore them.
You can't.
You could live 100 years, and there's something about your blood connection to another person. It will connect itself in identification so that you can identify who you are, because your blood connection is the existence of who you are. It is the very bane of who you are. So when we seek to pretend or if we divorce a family members in our mind, it does not change the fact that we're bloodline.
Right.
We're blood connected.
That's a spiritual thing, yeah.
So the fact that you may teach someone to not have a relationship with someone that is blood connected to them, at the root of that, we're dealing with a jealousy, an unforgiveness, a resentment. And now the family component is completely broken down, and it is dysfunctional behind this lack of wanting to identify what is truth.
Okay.
And then it's generational, I would say, too, because you don't know how to have that emotional reaction to a family member if you didn't grow up in it.
That's true.
And then so on. And it goes back so far, and we don't tackle and break that chain. So it keeps on with our children and their children and their children, to the point, like you said, where you don't really understand what happened so many years back, but you just know you're a part of it because of the blood tie.
Here's the other part. The person that knows what happened is 2 generations behind you, and they're gone. Yeah. So they pass it on to your granny, who's gone. Now you're lost. Yeah. You're sitting here, you're completely lost with an entire community that belongs to you, and you belong to them. And you're lost behind jealousy.
Wow.
Behind something that happened 80 years ago.
Now, what inspired you? Because it's such a big topic that I haven't heard anyone really tackle in the media. What caused you to need to put this down on paper and help heal people?
I would have to say my experiences and some of the things that I've seen happen in my own family. Because when I started, I've always had this idea to want to know who I am. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, why are your eyes that way? Why is your skin that color? Why do you have these moles? You know what I'm saying? Like, who are you? Yeah. So I would ask my great-grandmother when I was a little bitty girl, I would ask her questions about, who were your parents? And then I would ask my grandparents, who are your parents?
That's powerful.
And then I would ask my grandfather. And that's how I learned.
And they have the stories.
And I started digging. Digging. I dug all the way back to like 1700 and I want to say around 1770, 1767.
Okay.
Found the church where that's well over 215 years old, where my ancestors learned that it was their school.
Okay.
It was their post office. It was their church.
Oh, wow.
In the rural parts of Mississippi. So I started digging, and I found on my father's side, my great-great-grandfather had 4 sets of children.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So my grandfather had about 23 siblings.
Wow.
And my father physically remembered meeting 16 of them.
Wow.
Okay.
So now out of this vast number of siblings, they have children, they have grandchildren, they have great-grandchildren who are in my generation now. So I started digging, and I found people who, and when I tell you the reception The love.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's
was
beautiful.
absolutely amazing.
That's
One of my
beautiful.
cousins now, an attorney in Atlanta, who gives me guidance.
Okay.
He said, whenever you hear, you got a room at my house. I have my own room, my own wing, just on the bloodline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We found out we
Yeah.
have the same great-great-grandfather because it got lost.
Wow.
You know what I'm
You know
saying?
what? That's amazing, because I remember years ago when I became a believer, I never thought about the fact that human beings are the only species on the planet that is able to reproduce another being that has a spirit. Animals can reproduce, and animals supposedly have souls, but they do not have a spirit.
Wow.
Because we were made in the image and the likeness of God. So when you recreate another human being, there's a special tie there that's unmistakable. That's why adopted children, they have something in them
They want to find
that
their
make
birth
them want to
people.
go find
It's spiritual.
that birth parent. It's a drive to
That
find
connection.
that. It's kind of like a magnet trying to find the corresponding connection that's been pulled apart, and it's not natural for it to be separated. It's meant to be connected. It's the same thing with us spiritually. Men tend to try to fill that hole that's in there with things, with activity, with business, with houses, homes, cars, clothes, and so forth, when there's something in us pushing us to connect to God, who is our creator, who is ultimately the progenitor of all life, and we are designed to connect to him. It's the same thing on a different level than what you're talking about.
Think
And
about
it's-
this, though. If we are saved by the blood of Jesus, the blood, there's something divine, supernatural, and spiritual about your blood.
Oh yeah,
If we claim to be saved by the blood of Jesus, what about the blood that your DNA that connects you to another
Sure,
human being?
sure.
That's why it is very unnatural for you to hate your cousin. It is unnatural for you to hate your sister or your brother. It's not natural for you to be detached away from them. So that's why I dig into it.
I wanted to get into that digging because I think a lot of people, so if you were to advise someone to dig and unpack, the fear of what they may unpack may stop them from doing it. So as you are digging, did you have an anticipation of you were going to find good? Or
I've
were
had
you
family
prepared
members.
for the bad?
I've had family members to tell me, "Girl, you better leave that alone. You better leave
Yeah.
it alone because we already double related and yada
Yeah.
yada." And I was like, "So," and
But how do you get to that? Because I think most people would not be that strong. Be like, okay, whatever. I want to know, because it's good to know the good, the bad, the ugly, to know who you
Because
are.
sin, and I'm not trying to sound deep. Sin teaches us fear. Okay, when you and sin teaches you to fear truth.
okay,
But healing and truth teaches you to embrace whatever that truth is. You know what I'm saying? So I think when we get to a place where we can accept whatever it is. Because, see, one thing I say about my dad, my dad has a lot of children. My dad has like 12 kids.
Oh, wow.
And he's been married twice, and he has lived his life. But one thing I can say about my father, he does not run away from anything he's ever done.
okay.
He doesn't
He
run.
owns it.
He
Okay.
owns everything. And the healing component, a part of the healing component is owning.
Yes.
It's just being okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you're human, I'm
Right,
human.
Right.
What does human flesh do? It fails.
Yeah.
does.
From
Okay.
the time of birth.
We're frail. The Bible, from jump, we're frail. We're not perfect. That's why we need redemption. That's why we need to be reconnected to God. And that's why we need the light of truth, like Sharon's saying, because I always say that fear uses darkness. Darkness
Yeah,
is the
to
absence
grow.
of life or the absence of truth. When you don't have life, we don't have light. you can't really have life.
Right.
Because God is light and connecting to him is life.
Yes.
All right. So when we don't have that light, we don't know what we're looking at. And people tend to fear and want to destroy what they don't know or what they can't identify, what they can't relate to. They want to tear it down.
Instead of, like she said, embracing it. This is part of my makeup.
That's why I wanted to know. I wanted to know, Sharon, why are you so strong-minded? Why do you have such a determined energy? Why are you this way? So when I would sit down and talk to my dad, he told me his mother was like that.
Okay.
You know, and then he told me that he had an aunt, you know, who was an independent woman. Now, how many independent African American women in Jim Crow South, Lowndes County, Mississippi, who owned her own automobile, who went and paid cash for her car, who had her own farm? Like, what kind of money moves was she making? Like, I want, and to hear these fascinating stories about how my family took a stand against racism, even back then in Mississippi.
And that was a dangerous time and place to do that.
Exactly. And it tells me a lot about why I carry such an abundance of strength, but it also has taught me how to manage it.
Yeah.
Because everybody ain't ready for you to step in the room and they're not ready. So you have to be wise.
Most people aren't, I'd venture to say.
You know what I'm saying? But I wanted to know,
Yeah.
Dad, why are we this way? I mean, my dad being the first African-American chief of police in a Mississippi town where we were hung, raped, and now you are the first black to serve in law enforcement on the same soil. Like, that tells me a lot about where I come from. So I wanted to know for two reasons: to embrace the greatness and to change the weaknesses.
Yeah, speak to the weakness, because I would venture to say people are like, okay, so I know just from quickly thinking my family is not like that. Ain't nobody in my family like that.
Before we go there, hold that thought. What I wanted to say was that Sharon just hit on something. She hit on a railroad spike. I mean, a huge nail, because you were saying you wanted to know why. You were inquisitive. You were seeking to know truth. And I was just upstairs writing out some things. And one of the things I was working on is the fact that we all come here with a gift. God gives us all two things. He gives us, number one, unto every man has been given a measure of faith. Number two, that the gifts and calling of God is without repentance, which means whether you become a believer and follow God or not, you're born with a gift or giftings, and there is the one calling to reconnect to God. So there's a gift in you that's genetically put in you from birth, that God programs into you. So what I'm hearing her say is that she comes from a line of leaders.
Yes.
She comes from a line of groundbreaking, barrier breaking,
against all odds,
against the odds, people who went against the grain, people who fought injustice to bring justice, who stood for what was right, and who had the intellect and the mindset that was counter to what was expected in that culture during Jim Crow era. Okay, and so because most people had their spirits broken, but in her bloodline there was a gift God put in that bloodline
to overcome,
to prevent them from being ever broken, because God saw down the line 3, 4, 5 generations later that we're going to need Sharon Sykes to heal the culture, because God sees the end from the beginning. He exists from everlasting to everlasting. God saw that generations ago and put that in there, put that iron in the blood, the force of life in that bloodline, that it could not be broken. Just as I have met people who were generational ministers, preachers, whose great grandfathers were all ministers.
Pedigree.
It's the same thing. Like Dave Martin, Dr. Dave Martin, his father, his grandfather, they were all ministers.
Right.
And the same thing. They were pioneers, they were groundbreakers. They weren't popular, but they were powerful. And when you're powerful, you're not going to be popular. You got to have your own mind. You got to be able to stand on your own and have the lead in you. And you can't wait to acquire. You got to have it from childhood. So I
Like
bet
she said,
you,
she couldn't explain it, why she would ask these
I
questions,
know.
why she wanted to know.
And she said she was a little girl. This was in her. It's in her DNA. Now, others in your family may have lost it. Your cousin, who's an attorney now, he may still have that. There may be others that still have that.
I think that burning desire connected us. I think it connected us. And now we have a bond. We didn't grow up together, and we regret.
But it's a connection.
When he came to Chicago, he was like, "Cuz, I'm in town. Come downtown. We had dinner." We regret not growing up together.
Yeah.
But we vowed that in our middle age, from here on, we're gonna be family.
Yeah.
Because it was taken away from us, and it makes me think about the slavery piece. How. A lot of those older people didn't talk back then. They didn't have cell phones. They didn't have telephones.
Right.
So it's like you got these different sets of family. It doesn't mean my great-great-grandfather was a bad guy. It just means that he was a producer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he had this tribe of kids who had a tribe of kids, found a Facebook page with over 300 of them on there.
Wow.
Okay.
All bloodline, like not married in, bloodline.
Wow.
And on my mother's side, same thing, like 300 and some odd, all blood connected. So I'm not ashamed of my story. I'm not ashamed of my history. I'm not ashamed. The other thing with all of the victories and the triumphs and the challenges and the courage, for the women to be like that.
Yeah.
They had to be emasculated. They had to look, I'm gonna need you to get out of my they had to be like a Harriet Tubman kind of strength. I'm sure she had to bust up a few brothers.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, let me pay attention to this, this strong strength.
Well, you know what? Think about
and let me not repeat it like
you
that.
know what? Not only that, but
right.
you take that strength and you channel it properly.
Yeah, like she said, manage it.
Because you have the advantage that they didn't. They had the innate. It's inert. It's in you. It's inborn. You had an inborn drive and strength, and then you add education to that, which teaches you how to drive it. They had a Lamborghini, and they probably drove it in first and second gear because they didn't know how to work the clutch or the gear shift.
There you go.
They didn't know what first gear was or second gear, but they had that one gear, and they drove it to the max. Now, with education, information,
and it moved, yeah,
and it got done what they could do to the maximum. Now you have access to information, wisdom, insight, understanding. You know how to double clutch. You know how to shift, double shift, burn rubber, and do 360, 180 donuts and all kind of stuff because of the education that you've connected to your Lamborghini.
Yeah,
and that's the world we live in now. That family. See, men look at things from a linear perspective, but you have to look at things you have to rise up to a higher level and step back and look at the picture the way God sees it. People want to condemn and people want to say, oh my gosh. You don't know how many other people like Sharon in her bloodline are out here touching people's lives. It could be 1, it could be 100, it could be 1,000. You don't know. God knows because he knew what the plan was he laid out. Like your bloodline, you have a certain specific gift. I have a gift, and we have an obligation. We don't just have that's not about us. We have an obligation
that's very
to
true.
the creation to maximize our gift, to utilize that gift as Sharon is healing the culture. She's saving lives. There are people who won't commit suicide because of what she's doing. There are people, there are families who won't break up. There are wives who will step back, and instead of demasculating their man or emasculating their man, they're encouraging him and building him up.
And that's happening.
I know it is.
Yeah,
that's necessary to happen.
It's all over television. It's the spirit of this world. They're destroying the male. Scientists have even gone so far as to say that we will reach the point where men will be obsolete, and a woman will not need a man to reproduce.
Yeah.
Now that is not of God, because God had a design. He had a format for the family.
That is so true.
He did. And the problems that we're having with angry young men because they don't have a father, they're angry. Yeah. They're raised by women who don't like men, so they don't treat their sons the best. They're not giving them the love they need. They're not teaching them about God and about the Word. They're not taking them to places so they can be enhanced, and taught who they are as men. They're not getting that.
Yep.
They're not getting that.
I want to speak to the family. So I'll use my family I didn't have grandparents. And my parents worked. And then later my mom was the one working. So there was no room for conversation because I've always been a very inquisitive person. I didn't have the resources to tap into. Mm-hmm. So speak to the people who don't have that lineage or knowledge of the lineage that you have. Where do they start and how do they unpack and maybe not find what you found? Maybe they find a bunch of mess because I could tell you some mess in my family solely. So everyone is not going to unpack and see all this greatness. You may see some greatness, but you may see more of something else. So speak to those people to give them that encourement to find that and figure out how to manage who they are.
That's a great question.
That's a very good question. I think I was ready to see whatever. Mm-hmm. So let me start there. I was ready to see whatever.
Because that's who you are. Whether you unpack it or not, it's still who you are.
Right. And I just prepared myself. And I also purposed in my heart that whatever I saw, that I was going to do my work to change it. That it was going to stop here. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Say, for example, it's like you have families where, the woman has, multiple baby daddies. No judgment.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I made that a purpose in my life. I'm not going to do it. Whatever generational habits that were negative, that created brokenness, that created toxic behaviors or toxic attachments, you can't come to my house.
Okay.
And I said that spiritually. So I said, well, let me start doing the work. To start looking at your bloodline, I think there are several DNA tests that can be taken. People are going back to find out the tribes they belong to. Yeah. There's an African DNA test. Yeah. There's several you could take. So I would say if you don't have any history, just take a DNA test. It's going to tell you.
The commercials all the time. And it's funny when you see those, you see the person, with the pie chart of what percentage of what they are. Yeah. But they're not telling you what to do with that information.
Now, the next thing I would say is, if you don't know your mother and father, there's ways to find out the vital statistics. Every town, city, state has records of vital statistics. I'm on my way to visit the one in Mississippi that has whatever, who had a house, where did they live? Because in my lineage, they all live together.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like aunts raised first cousins. And so mine's is mixed up like that. And everybody has the same name because they was named after somebody. You see what I'm saying? So that's how I found. And then that church, Prairie Chapel Missionary Baptist Church, is a 200, almost 20-year landmark that provided assistance. So the church, whatever church that you can get information about in your family from somebody, an old aunt, an old cousin, the vital statistics. Now, with records for us, because of slavery, you may not have, but it will help. Yeah. It's going to help you connect the dots. When you want to connect those dots, they will connect. It's like you just got to take that one step and then the rest of the journey is going to work itself out the way I did. Sure. For me, even now, I still have conversations with my father about, his aunts and uncles and his parents. And we still have these conversations. That's why it's so close to me and I know it so well. And then I know the territory where they live because he talked about it, But again, that, family history, a different kind of jealousy, it's like nobody wants to talk about it. And we are doing damage to ourselves when we don't know who we are. A lot of times we act a certain way because we don't know. We treat people a certain way because we don't know. If all of us really knew who we were, we would know where to do surgery.
Sure, definitely. Yeah, that makes sense.
We would know, and a lot of times we don't know because we are taught secrecy. How many times have
keep
you
it
heard
in the house.
it?
Don't let that out.
Take this business out of here. Don't you tell nobody. We trained our
with a belt in the
we
hand.
are trained to not value our voice. That's what that taught us.
Yes.
That's one of the reasons that people in our culture have a difficulty communicating and expressing themselves in the face of other cultures. We're good at talking to each other, but when it comes to facing obstacles or other things in the other parts of society, we have a challenge. I was challenged with that when I was younger, But listen, we've got a commercial coming up.
Okay.
And we're going to be right back.
Talking about jealousy.
About healing the culture with our sister, Sharon Sykes. We'll be right back.
This book is the story of Jameson Harold Donovan, who lives in the city of Sussex Falls. Feeling trapped in his dysfunctional marriage to his wife and a stranger to his own children, thoughts of suicide dominate his waking hours. Jameson discovers he was selected before birth by the Almighty to receive quasi-angelic abilities. Between the ticks of the clock. You're listening to JW Fusion with your hosts, James and Wendy B.
And we're back with our sister, our very dear friend, Sharon Sykes of healtheculture.org. That's her website, healtheculture.org. Check it out. It's amazing, tremendous information, a powerful woman who's making an impact in our society today.
Yeah. So we talked about family. I want to get into the workplace.
Yeah.
That workplace
That's
jealousy
huge.
is, let's unpack that a little bit.
Oh, wow. I think the first thing, if you are intuitive, tune into your environment. Insecurities are at an all-time high. I don't care what profession you're in. I don't care if it's media, production, education, law, corporate. Insecurities are running rampant. People don't work together anymore. Their first option is to sabotage you, try to sabotage your name, and that is alive and well in the workplace. This is what I've learned, and this is what I practice. I have learned that righteousness is its own reward.
Powerful.
That if you know that you are doing what's right, you are doing your job, it doesn't matter what anybody says. It doesn't matter how many traps they set. Righteousness is its own reward. It is going to cover you. It is going to protect you. It is going to preserve your integrity. Just because, and it starts here in the heart.
Sure.
It starts with the energy you release. This stuff is, listen, spirituality is real everywhere.
It is.
It doesn't matter. Every trap that has ever been set, I maneuver out of it. Because I am known in my life, oh yeah, Sharon gonna tell you the truth. If you want to know the truth, ask Sharon. She's going to tell you. Now, it has created fallouts because people don't really want to know the truth. But here's my thing. This is my honor unto God. If you call me as your sister and you say, Sharon, I have this concern or I have this situation, I'm going to give you the scenario like it is and find me in it. Be prepared to be found.
Yeah.
Because now you coming to me makes it an assignment from God that I have to
tell the truth. Yeah.
I have to give you the gift of honesty that is going to free you.
And people get mad when you tell them, you ask.
But see, when you call me, I got to tell you. Now, they do get mad. This is why I do not practice being intrusive. I'm not going to come in your space and say, well, James, I think no, I don't do that because now I'm out of order. I'm out of order. I'm out of line because nothing about your spirit has given me indication that you're ready to receive something constructive about you.
Sure.
So I sit back in the cut, and when this phone rings or a text comes through, hey, sis, my next question is, are you ready?
Are you ready? Yeah.
Well, you know what?
Yeah,
that goes right back to what I was saying about us having an obligation. An obligation. Like, for instance, we have been blessed and gifted to promote other people. So when we come across a gift that we see that needs to be promoted, we have an obligation. It's not a choice. We don't make money doing this. We're doing this because we do it out of love, and we do it because it's an assignment God placed upon us to do, and we do it to the best of our ability, the best way we can.
And we have that paycheck of the heart, which you can't put a number on.
Right, you can't put a number on that.
Just to see you soar even a little bit because you've gotten exposure here, that's huge.
So,
and it always comes back.
It does. And so my point is that when a person contacts you, you are obligated to open your gift and share it. Now, if they come to you, you're obligated. It's not like, well, I don't know. No, you have an obligation. I like
what she says. Now, wait a minute. I got you. But are you ready?
Are you ready? And you let them know.
Now, hey, you're going to say yes, you need to be ready.
And that is such a very vulnerable place to be, but it's also a safe place.
Yeah.
I remember my pastor, Pastor Hinton, he used to say...
Richard Hinton?
Yes, that was my pastor. He used to say that your safety is the train that's on a track. As long as that, people talk about it's so strict, walking and living a righteous life. But there's a safety associated with that. And he used a train. He said, as long as that train's on that track, it's bound to the track, but that train can go everywhere that track takes it. And what limits you? Nothing. Your imagination is your only limitation as far as where that track can take you. But as long as you stay on the track, that's where your freedom is, because the Spirit of Christ, where it is, there's liberty. And as long as we stay on that, it brings us to the place where we are elevated from glory to glory, and we are changed or transformed from glory to glory. Now, that word changed or transformed means metamorphosis. It doesn't mean, it's like if you take a cup and you fill it with water, you've changed that cup. Now it's holding some water, so it's changed, but it's still a cup. But if you take that same cup and apply fire to it, that same cup can become a plate. That same resin can become glass. It can become a table because fire, which is the refiner, which is the shifter of the transformation, there's a process that happens. And a lot of times for us, it's fire. It's pain, it's difficulty, it's challenge. We don't like that.
And like you said, our brain doesn't like pain.
We don't, because
it's designed to protect us
uncomfortable.
From that.
And the ego is designed to protect. That's what it is. Ego is a protection. People who are insecure, their egos are protecting the insecurities. So they lash out, they act ugly, they mistreat, they do all kind of different things that are destructive. So it's imperative that we understand, and people that are listening, that change is essential when you're dealing with insecurity. You got to come out of that.
So many people, I've heard several friends complain about work. This person is always on me for no reason. This person is always trying to sabotage my growth. This person is trying to get me fired. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. So speak to those people, because there's more people who hate what they do and the environment that they work in than love. So speak to that person who's like, I know this person's insecure, but I can't get this person off my back.
I think when you're dealing with people, I always say everything starts with energy. Everything starts with spirit. Spirit and energy are relational. That you get a good vibe, you get a bad vibe, you get a angry vibe, you get a sneaky vibe, you get disloyal, you get loyal. So the first thing I would say to those people, master your environment. When you master your environment, it doesn't matter who comes in your environment or how they feel. You have become an authority over your domain. Because I work around it too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't give it energy. I don't, because I know I'm good at what I do. I'm passionate about what I do. And I know sometimes when you're good, when you're passionate, when you're strong, it attracts fear.
Exactly.
This is
That's
what
exactly
I've learned
what
to
it
do
is.
with fear. Fear is connected to jealousy. This is what I've learned to do with all of it. I don't answer it. I don't answer it. Because when you start answering it, you give it life.
You're giving it your power.
When you give it life, it multiplies, it grows, and it comes back to it comes back to exact upon you based on what you gave it. So I don't give it anything. Okay, I stand in my truth every day. I will speak truth to power, even to my superiors. I will speak truth. I've had to do it several times. You know, sir, may I have a word with you for a moment? One-on-one. I love one-on-ones.
Yes.
One-on-ones.
Yes.
When you do the one-on-ones are cold-blooded because you don't have any place to go.
Right.
If I say to you, you know, I need to have a word with you for a minute. You got a second? I'm coming. I'm looking you straight in the eye, and I'm telling you what my concern is, and I'm giving you my expectation. Where are you going? You have no other choice other than to back away cowardly or to stand in your truth and acknowledge what I'm telling you. So if you're going to stand in your truth and acknowledge what I'm telling you, guess what? We're on our way to change. I've seen this happen so many times. The one-on-ones are the number one method. But here's the thing. The majority of people are passive. The majority of people are passive.
That insecure person,
they don't
want to call you out in front of a group because that's going to
that has happened. And I humbly, because here's the thing. When you come from a line of people who can use this and cut your life completely up, you got the ammunition in your head and you know the things that you could say could just dismantle somebody's life. The beauty of righteousness is disciplined, and it won't say everything that it could say.
Because you got people like, you should have said, girl, I would have.
And my grandmother used to say all the time, "Ooh, I wasn't thinking for that heifer." She used to say that all the time, and because in her mind, oh, I could have said this because you got home now and you see the scenario and this would have been good. And so here's the beauty of walking in wholeness and being healed is you don't have to have that guard up to have these words in your chamber and then you unleash. So I let people have their little moments because here's the thing. When you're healed, you're walking in love. When you walk in love, there's no ego. When there's no ego, you have nothing to hide or protect. You see what I'm saying? And it has happened to me where I've gotten embarrassed openly. Well, Sykes, and everybody laughs or whatever because, you got your little cronies with you. And then I'll come back. I'll wait until the dust settles and I'll always come back. Can I have a word with you? Can I talk to you?
That's powerful.
Because see, here's the thing. The person who's attacking you with the cronies, they already know you powerful. That's why they need the cronies.
The one-on-one.
You standing in your truth and then here's the downside of being so strong. You can really tear down a house and a building. You could blow somebody up. Like you're so powerful, you could crush a person and not touch them.
Do you know what? Do you know that's the definition of meekness? Moses was the meekest man on earth. The reason the Bible said that was because Moses brought down an entire nation. God used him to bring down an entire world power, Egypt. God used him to part a sea. God used him in a lot of different ways. And he had the power to do a lot. For example, when he came off the mountain, and I'm getting to a point, when he came off the mountain with the 10 Commandments and Aaron had built this calf unto this Egyptian god, he took an action that split the earth open and it swallowed up men and women alive into hell, the scripture said. Now, whether that was literal or figuratively, I don't know. I know it was a bad ending. I know they fell into the crust of the earth and it was a single man that did it. But he had the power that he kept that under constraint. He didn't demonstrate what he could do unless God directed him to do it. There were times God wanted to wipe out the children of Israel, and he entreated God for them on their behalf because of his love. So love is always tied to meekness.
Yes.
Just because you can strike back doesn't mean that you should strike back.
And it doesn't make you weak because you didn't.
But
you have to be strong in order to
a person who's
manage that.
A person who's living in survival mode, if they're living by their sexuality, their appetites, and their competition modes, those 3 lower energy centers, if they're living there, they can't see that. They see you as an enemy. They see you as something that represents what they're not. And people resent what they're not. Rather than trying to aspire and lift themselves, they want to tear it down.
Understand. I've never understood the emotion of jealousy. Because my story is my story.
And well,
you know what I mean?
Because it brings you right back to jealousy.
Yeah.
Love is the most powerful force in the universe. I'm saying the universe where all the planets put together, love. When people really tap into love, it brings a peace that your vocabulary, you can't even describe it. You can't describe. It is so powerful. Like your people dealing with the situation at work, put some love on it. Because love will murder it, and it will cause the person to convert. I always say that if an enemy is in my immediate environment, that's an assignment.
Wow.
Oh, say that again, please.
Say it one more
If
time.
an enemy, a known enemy, who has been exposed, and now I know you're an enemy, you may not know that I know that you're an enemy. You now become an assignment.
Wow.
Okay.
So if you are an assignment based on my love for God, my submission to the Creator, I cannot hurt you. I can't hurt you. I can't harm you. I can't break you, because now you're no longer, you in your mind, I'm your enemy. But in my mind, this is a most recent process that I've completed. In my mind, you're an assignment.
Okay.
So now, even if you're not a direct assignment, there's something about God using my life as a portal to get to you, to reach you by what I could have did and I didn't do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
they know
saying?
you could have.
Right.
They know you could have.
Because see, the person that hates you, they know you're powerful.
Yes.
That's why they fear you.
Yeah.
Even if they can't put an actual definition to your power, they know you have it.
Yeah. You know what? It was powerful what you said. You said love is the most powerful force in the universe. I would go so far as to say that love is the universe.
Yeah.
Love is the universe.
It's the reason for the universe.
No, it is the universe, because the Bible says God is love. So if that's the case, and people think love in terms of an emotional feeling, no, that's a chemical. That's oxytocin you're talking about. It makes you aroused. It gives you the butterflies and all that. That's not love. Love endureth all things. Love beareth all things. Love doesn't speak of its own. It speaks of the things that's better for you. Love gives freely and looks for nothing in return. That's love, and that's what our universe consists of, because that's what God is. And I have visited, during my meditation times, I have literally visited the veil where the presence of God is existing, connecting everything, because we're all connected. We're all connected. And even in between planets, stars, solar systems, there is an energy field that exists between the planets, in between the stars, between the solar systems, all the way down to between me and you, and you and Sharon. That same energy connects us all, and that is God's love. And that's the reason when a person yields to God's love, they become a force to be reckoned with. They really do. They really do. And because of the love you carry, your love is, you have developed that.
It was a process.
I know.
I'm not even going front.
I know. You developed that. Because
But you're willing to do that work, and you were willing to accept whatever you unpacked.
you paid a price for that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't cheap.
The brokenness. See, when I hear people come through Heal the Culture low key, and because it's priesthood work, I hold their concerns close.
Sure.
When a person is walking through a brokenness, that's just God getting that ego out of there. Because you cannot represent God or the universe in a great way with ego.
You cannot.
It's just not going to work.
Nope.
And we learned it in the flesh realm. That's why the scripture teaches us. Whatever book you read, to all my Muslim friends, to my Jewish friends, whatever book you read, we all know we have the same language towards pride and ego. It is all connected to fear.
Yeah.
It is all fear-based. Hate is fear-based.
That's powerful.
Everything is fear-based. So when you tap into the love, tap into it. I'm not talking, like you said, I'm not talking about being, Kim, oh girl, he's so fine. That's not really love.
No.
When you hear a woman who's been married for 50, 60 years and you ask her the questions, because that's going to be the next book that I'm about to write. When how did you deal with his stuff, girl? How did you, and people looking at you crazy. See, when you really love, it will make you look stupid to a carnal person.
Sure.
When you really love somebody. And her answer is very simple. I just love him. I love him with the love of God.
Yes.
And that's what we come into. Love covers a multitude. What is a multitude? Multitude is a lot.
A lot.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's safety in a multitude account. What is a multitude? A lot. Which means that whatever God does, he does it in multitudes. He does it big. Nothing that he touches is small.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I made a decision through hurt, through being misunderstood, through brokenness. Okay, God, you know what? I got it. You put too much in me personally for me to have any ounce of ego. You know what I'm saying? So I will bow down and do what I need to do as long as you get the honor. I will be a bound and a base as long as you get the honor.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I want my life and my existence to be a reference to God.
Yeah.
To be a reference. And when I say God, I'm not talking about a book. I'm not talking about anything I'm not talking about anything that we can comprehend with our mind. I'm talking about everything that goes beyond your existence.
Yeah, because
that's
he does.
what I'm talking about.
He is beyond. Thank you for saying that, because we as human, especially the religious system, the religious system insists upon putting God in a box, putting him in a denomination, putting him in an organization, putting him among certain nationalities. God is too. As a matter of fact, the word God doesn't even do him justice.
Right.
That's all we could come up with in our meager minds. As a matter of fact, the Hebrew word Yahweh is for the name that cannot be spoken, because his name is so powerful. So
a lot of people are adapting that name more, by the way. Christians, Yahweh. They're starting to adapt
because
that name.
We don't have the language. We do not have the language sufficient enough to describe the Creator. We just don't. We're limited. He created us.
Right.
That's the equivalent of something you create trying to dictate and tell you what your name is. That's not going to happen. What you do is submit to what you've been given and embrace it and have a heart of gratitude and embrace others with that love that you were shown.
That you desire for yourself.
And what you what you should desire, because some people
understand you, but you don't want to put that out there.
Well, some people are into self-hatred. They resent themselves. They criticize themselves. Which goes probably back to the insecurity thing,
which is learned behavior.
I was about to say, but that's a process to get to that point.
It's learned behavior, because when you were born, you didn't hate yourself.
You didn't have any fear.
You didn't know you were here.
Yeah.
You didn't.
So somebody taught. Hate is taught.
Yep.
Love is the purest form of your existence.
Yes. And it's acquired.
Yes.
You embrace it. You accept it. It's that's why I have this phrase that I use about a past present reality and a present future reality. Most people live in a past present reality, which means they're taking their past and reliving it every day.
Yeah.
They wake up in the mornings looking for the things that they're pissed off about, the things they're worried about, the things that they're concerned about.
And what you seek, you will find.
And you will,
every time.
All you got to do is wait.
Ooh, every time.
So if you're seeking something, I've heard people say, "Oh, girl, something bad is gonna happen," and I said, "It is, because you just said it."
Yes.
Or all men are dogs. Every guy I come in contact with, he ain't no good. That's because you keep speaking it.
Yeah.
You're right.
That's the energy you give,
because that's who you're attracting.
Yeah, that's true. And so when you live in that past present reality, you're reliving that thing, and your body is creating the chemicals of the feeling. Like if you had your heart broken and you start thinking about it, your body, literally, the endocrine system creates those same hormones, the same chemicals that you felt when your heart was broken, and you sitting there crying and boo-hooing and upset because you're reliving something that's in the past.
Yes.
And you taken it and embellished it and made it more than what it was.
And there's nothing you can do to change that. It's happened.
Right. So you have to create a present future reality.
Yeah.
That's something that we're going to be teaching on Shattered Ceilings.
I'm sorry, what was that? What is that?
Shattered Ceilings.
That's good stuff.
I want to use a couple minutes because his newest book. Girl,
talk about the new book, please.
First of all, I apologize for not having y'all. I'm sorry.
It's not your fault. It's in demand. You can't help that.
And I can't wait for the next shipment to get here to send out. Okay, unsisterly love, incubated jealousy.
Man,
jealousy. You know how when you put a baby in an incubator,
yes,
what it does. How many of us are harboring jealousies? Incubated jealousies that keeps doing the same thing over and over, destroying relationships, destroying opportunities, destroying vision, destroying blessings, destroying lives because of that.
It's destroying you.
It's in there. You know what I'm saying?
So is it safe to say that is the key to self-sabotage?
It is. It is.
Yeah, I agree.
Self-destruction.
How do you befriend someone just to destroy them?
Oh my gosh.
How do you get close to someone to find out their weaknesses, to take their weaknesses and use it against them?
And how does that feed you?
So I go in, I wrote the book, and I described jealousy as a third person.
Oh, wow.
So I described this person.
You made it tangible.
In every situation. And now you can look at jealousy and you can say, oh, no, you're not coming into this situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now it gives you a management tool. It gives you an authority to look at jealousy and see jealousy as a thing.
Wow.
That's what the book is in the sense.
Okay,
What do you want to get? What do you
where
want?
can they get the book?
Yeah.
Amazon.com, number one. I'm with Amazon.
Amazon.com.
And www.healtheculture.org.
Yeah.
.org.
That's a good conversation to start talking
Matter of
about
fact,
jealousy.
say it one more time. Say your website one more time.
www.healtheculture.org. I'm on my way to St. Louis this Friday to launch this weekend. I have a group of women.
Girl? Where you going?
Oh, listen, my whole
gosh.
weekend is going to be connected to talking to women, educating them on jealousy being the third person in your encounters.
Wow.
And then we leave there and we go to Essence. And I'm talking to a group of women at Essence. Jealousy. It's a person.
Yeah.
It's an energy.
It's designed to destroy.
Yes.
So now we're going to share the information
on
the tools to
everything
identify
about that.
Yeah.
That's so
Many
powerful.
blessings on what you're doing. I'm praying that people hear what you're saying.
Thank you.
Resonate. I mean, hey, keep it real. If you feel that whatever Sharon is saying to you, you can see yourself.
You know what?
Take it, unpack that, and heal yourself.
And what's powerful is, I was just listening to Miles Monroe, the late Dr. Miles Monroe.
Love him.
And he was talking about how women in our society, there's a spirit in our society today that is bent on destroying men, to demean men, to belittle men, to steal their masculinity, to take the identity of what a man is. Because a lot of young boys are growing up without the father in the home, so they don't know what it means to be a quote-unquote man. Back in the old days, the man went to work, he brought the food home, he bought the house, the wife made it a home, he'd bring home the food, she'd make dinner, he'd give her a seed, she'd give him a baby. It was simple, but now it's not so simple because women have more than a lot of men nowadays. So it really requires a healing to take place because there are some things that have been wrong that have happened. So I salute you. I thank God for what you're doing. And our time is up again.
As always.
Time is up again, y'all.
Time is up again.
Thank you
so much for coming by.
I want to thank y'all for having me. Many blessings.
Thank you.
To everything that you
Thank
do.
you. Thank you.
Call
Thank
me
you.
anytime.
Oh, we will.
We throw that right back at you, girl.
Listen, join us next week on JW Fusion, 6 o'clock p.m. on Thursdays on the ArtistFirst Radio Network.
Central Standard Time.
And until then, allow God's grace to grow, to flow in your life, grow in your life, to expand in your life as a mighty river.
God bless everyone.
God bless.
Bye.
Hi, this is Wendy, and welcome to The Wendy Life. This is a brand new show. We are celebrating some unsung champions in our community, the disabled community. I have been a mom of disabled children for 21 years, and I look to bring light to this community. We are going to talk to and celebrate therapists, teachers, doctors in this community. We're going to talk to the special needs community themselves, people who are rocking out this life despite their disability, showing us how to live our best lives no matter what life throws at us.
The Wendy Life. New episodes every second and fourth Friday on the Road to Eternity channel.
Thanks for listening to JW Fusion with your hosts, James and Wendy B.